I don't know what's going on with my main cam. One sec. I had this all perfectly done like a second ago. This wasn't there. That was in the corner. The stream is already scuffed. Good to see Roman Hills and Brian Gaming in the chat. You will see my face at some point. When that is, who could ever know? Because I had it all set up and now, for some reason, the capture card's not picking me up. Well, you can see the plan in the top left, and when my camera decides that it wants to live again, then we'll get on with some of the stuff in the title. So we'll have a look at the Steam Machine specs in a minute, if I can get my camera working. If not, we'll sort something out. But how's everybody doing this evening? Just a short stream tonight. We might do another one later in the week actually, because we'll have some builds. Oh, come on, this was working like literally 2 minutes ago. This was fine. What is going on here? I'll have to use the cheapo built-in cam at this rate. No one wants to see that. Oh, I will be on screen in a second. What the heck is going on? Guys, do not get into streaming, honestly. It's stressful. I wouldn't even say I'm into streaming, and yet here we are. Let me know in the chat, everybody, if you've seen the Steam Machine and what you think about it whilst I wrestle with this. Maybe I'll try the other capture card. Right, so what I'll do instead is... Ah, hang on. I was in the frame for a second there. That's my crappy webcam. I don't want to use that. Display capture on, that's going to freak people out, but then if I go to this, then you should be able to see it. So we'll change this to window capture. Oh my god, this isn't going well, is it? Right, boom, there we go. Okay, and then we'll just need to fit that to the screen and then we're good to go. Transform. Fit to screen. Beautiful. There we go. Yeah, Roman Hills, I'm the same. I'm the same. I've done exactly the same thing. It's good fun, isn't it? It's good fun. So we'll talk about those specs in a second. I mean, when... Aha! Yes! I don't know what I did, but now it's working. Right, so I can actually say hello to you. No, only works in one window. Of course it does. All right, maybe let's try one of these. Yes! Yes! There we go. Beautiful stuff. Camera's looking nice actually tonight. Okay. ASRock Desk Meet. I've not heard of that. Is that one of those like mini PCs? Brian, hello, my friend. Basically, Brian, it was because of you that I actually ended up doing this stream because I wasn't going to bother because I wasn't getting any replies, but you sealed it. So, and I had an hour to spare, so why not? Great. So you can see the plan in the top left. We're going to talk about the Steam Machine for the next 10 minutes or so. We'll snipe some early Black Friday deals. I'll just do UK and US, just on Amazon for today, and then we'll actually get into designing some PCs for the company. And you can have your input on that, whether you think I'm making good or bad decisions. Because I need a couple more designs for the website, not too many. I've got quite a good variety already, but a couple more would probably fill a gap because I need some more with 57 Ti's, and because lots of people want those for some reason. Okay, so Roman Hills is talking about creating a rival to the Steam Machine, basing it off like an all-in-one mini PC, which is an interesting concept. I'm going to do it from more like a budget PC angle. So what can you build for similar spec? How much does it cost? And what does that mean for how much the Steam machine is going to cost? All right, so why don't we go into the specs? Because this is all balked, let me just copy that, and then we'll add the window capture on top of this, and then everybody will have a great time. Yes, here we go, and we'll fit it to the screen. Yes, 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 yes. Here we go. Okay, so if I put that underneath myself, and then if I make myself small, then it almost looked like a professional stream. Right, okay, so let's have a look at the specs on screen here. Hopefully they're visible. You can change the quality on YouTube if you can't see it very well. In fact, why don't I just zoom in a little bit, make it a bit easier. There we go, and then hopefully, yep, that is visible on there. Perfect. Okay, so we have either 512 or a 2 terabyte model. So obviously the pricing is going to be quite different between those. 512, that is real small. You're going to be in a world of hurt, I think, with a SSD that small. I don't even know if it's an SSD or if they're trying to do SD cards again. Oh, that's a terrible idea. Either standalone or bundle with Steam controllers. So, you know, this is where they're gonna release a 512 without a controller at a low price, and it's going to make all the reviewers go nuts for it. But actually, you know, if you buy a console, you get a controller with it. You're going to get more storage with a console most of the time. So I don't know. The pricing is going to determine it. It's basically a really tiny ITX build. So the dimensions, if you think of the NZXT H5, is it called? What's it called? H1, wasn't it? I don't know if they make these anymore, actually. So it's a bit like these. I wonder if that's visible on screen. Yes. So it's a bit like one of these, but cut in half. So it's like the same sort of desk footprint, but it's half as tall. So pretty cool. Like, I quite like the H1 actually. It's a bit of a faff plugging in everything in on the bottom, but it's that form factor's good. It gives it that sort of console feeling. Weight, well, nobody cares about weight, do they? Unless you're PC centric with your noodle spaghetti arm, you don't care about the weight. So CPU, semi-custom Zen 4 6-core 12 thread. So Zen 4 is the 7000 Ryzen series, and this boost clock, this is in the territory of like an 8400F. So if we get the right, so Ryzen 8400F. These are like the bottom of the barrel AM5 chips with half the cache. So they've only got, oh, it's not half actually, I don't think. It's just slightly less cache. This is kind of what the CPU is going to be like, but don't forget it's limited to 30 watts. So the performance will probably be lower than the 8400F, which is something to think about. See what people have said so far. Yeah, yeah, it'll just be a budget PC. So the price, yeah, exactly. So yeah. It should be 1 terabyte. I agree, Brian. Yeah, 1 and 2 terabyte is kind of the standard now. Like on my website, you can't spec a PC with anything less than a terabyte now, because the number of times somebody's tried to save money by getting a 512, and then around, I don't know, like a month later, they've come around and said, oh, I've run out of space, could you add another SSD? And then I tell them, yeah, I'll do it, but I'm gonna have to charge you like 30 quid of labor because that's time away from doing something else. And then they get all uppity about it. I was like, well, listen, I did recommend that you get more and you wanted to save money, so that's the way it is. So now I just don't give them the option. They can only get 1 terabyte or bigger. Fine. All right, so let's go through the rest of the specs. So we have GPU. This is where your money's going to be made, isn't it? So semi-custom RDNA 3. So this, again, it's the 7000 Radeon series, RDNA 3. 28 CUs. That's pretty bad. 2.45 gig. Well, the clock is kind of mid, isn't it? 110 watt TDP for a small sort of form factor thing. That's a respectable TDP, and 8 gigs of RAM, VRAM, which is pretty good. And this is going to be separate to the body of main system RAM as well. So The RDNA, so the closest to this is going to be like a Radeon 7600, but the 7600, I'm pretty sure, has 32 CUs. Let me have a look, because I did a build with it recently. And 32, there you go. So presuming this AI sum is correct, 32 computers in the desktop. And don't forget, this is, what's the TDP? I reckon the TDP of the 7600 is what, like 150 watts probably? Let's have a look, TDP. $165, so you've got almost a 50% limit there on your TDP. So the difficulty you have with this is that it's basically a really cheap PC with the parts turned down even further and essentially underclocked to get them to run at this TDP. So it's not looking like a powerhouse. I guess that's not what they want, is it? I mean, Nintendo does very well and their components aren't powerhouses. Performance supports 4K gaming at 60 FPS with FSR, ray tracing supported, 6 times more powerful than Steam Deck. Whoa, that I really doubt that. They're gonna have to do some magic behind the scenes, because 4K at 60. So is that going to assume it's using some kind of special FSR where it could upsample it like 720p or something? Because even the desktop 7600 is going to struggle getting 60 FPS at 1440 in a lot of games. And RT support on RDNA 3 is really bad. So they've been very careful with their wording. You know, maybe if you put Fortnite into performance mode, yeah, all right, maybe you could get 4K at 60. Or I think this is really bad. This is gonna really bite them in the arse. Because this is, I could imagine Gamers Nexus thumbnails already. So that I think that's complete bogus and a complete lie, but we'll see. Okay, RAM, 16 gigs of system RAM, which for a lower end PC, that's actually reasonable. It's SODIMM and it doesn't say the speed or the latency, and it doesn't say whether it's it does say upgradable, so you can add more. Okay, so it's not soldered, that's good. Or one bit is soldered, but you can add more. And then for storage expansion, you can fit NVMe's and microSD. So what does that mean about the internal storage? One would hope that's an NVMe SSD nowadays, but we don't know. I/O, I mean, who cares about that, to be honest? It's all fine. It doesn't really matter for most people. Wi-Fi 6E, well, you know the reason they've gone for 6E, which is good, but it will support VR, so that's why you need 6E for VR. And you've got, yeah, okay, so the rest doesn't matter. And you can install Windows on it and partition it, apparently, so interesting. And I agree, Roman, how can they claim that this is a 4K machine? It really isn't, is it? Like, it struggles at 1440. Servant Max is here just at the right time. I'm not eating, I'm having a cup of tea at the moment. I'll have some food after this, but yeah. We're just chatting about the Steam machine at the moment, and then we'll move on in a second to look at some Black Friday deals. So maybe as a little experiment, why don't we try and part out something that's going to give you similar performance, see what the price is on the desktop full side, then we'll see. Oh, it's nothing like a cup of tea on a cold day. All right, so I'll have to do another window capture, won't I? So window capture. Let's see, Firefox. No. All right, I'm gonna have to add another window capture. Yeah, it's cold today. The temperature's really dropped. Really dropped. Okay, so why isn't it capturing my window? Strange. Maybe it can it not capture private browsing? Maybe that's it. Well, I'm going to put you on window capture, on display capture then. Why is it doing that? How strange. Okay, well, display capture it is. Right, display capture. and you're going to get the vortex. Oh my god, right, let's get you out of there. Okay, so ignore Suno, that's just the music. And then we were going to design the Steam Deck, weren't we? The Steam machine. So let's do it. Is this zoom level suitable? I should probably zoom in a bit more, shouldn't I? Because if you watch on a phone, you're not going to be able to see anything. All right, so 8400F 117. Hang on, doorbell's just gone. One sec. One sec. You can mull that over in the comments. Oh, it's just Amazon. Right, I'm back. Okay, so 8400F. Let's be nice and say stock cooler, right? And then motherboard, well, we're just going to need literally the cheapest one because it's not going to matter for an 8400F at all. So I'll just sort by lowest. There you go. 16 gigabytes. Let's just get the cheapest 16 gigabytes. But as anyone knows, you know, a piece of crap 5600 CL46 is going to give you an awfully sluggish experience. What about... There's no way that's actually 80 quid, right? Yeah, I knew it. I knew there's no way that was gonna... Okay, fine. So let's find one that's actually in stock at the price that's mentioned. Corsair, there's no... Surely Corsair aren't selling it for that price directly. Oh no, they are. Okay, it is garbage RAM, but it'll do. We don't even know if it's dual channel in the Steam Deck and the Steam machine either, do we? Okay, and let's say, for argument's sake, let's say a 512 SSD, which isn't going to be enough. We know that. All right, well, that's probably... I mean, for like 15 quid more, you can get 1 terabyte, but you know, we're trying to get it as close as possible. And we need a 7600. Okay, yeah, that's about the price that they are now. And then any Garbo case will do, won't it? So that piece of shit will do. And then power supply, something low end but reliable, PF500. So total cost, I don't know if we can see that. It's going to be really hard for me to... I can't dip in and out because otherwise you get the infinite scroll because I can't capture the window. But hopefully you can see there, total 553. And this will outperform the Steam machine because these are desktop parts. The desktop parts are always more powerful than the mobile and semi-custom parts. The reason it works in consoles is because they can use the same hardware and everything and optimize the games for it. But when using a Steam machine, it's probably not going to be the case if they're just going to use the PC ports. So this is like really the lowest I could do. And I've been quite generous to the Steam machine because, you know, it's actually worse performance than the parts here. And less upgradable, of course, because with this, it's a standard computer platform, isn't it? So you can upgrade. So really, what do we think the pricing of this Steam machine should be? I have my ideas, but I want to know. I'm going to scroll through the chat and read whilst you guys let me know what you think the Steam machine should go for. Yeah, exactly. Well, we were saying earlier, Servant Max, that this 4K 60 is absolute BS. I mean, you could technically do it, but it's ridiculous. Just put everything on the lowest, wouldn't you? I missed my chance to build PC. RAM is 400. Yeah, but we're going to have a look at some deals in a minute that can offset some of that cost, but it sucks. I'm glad I bought a decent amount of RAM before the prices went absolutely nuts. And I'm buying more now, even at the high price, because I think it's going to get even worse. So I think if you're looking to build a PC, you've just got to do it now. You've just got to do it now. So yeah. So Roman Hills, I'm in the same boat because I've bought a load of 6000 CL30 RAM in the past as well. So I've got about 8 kits at the good price left. So yeah, Philly's here. Yeah, Philo's just passing by. Love it. Good to see you, mate. Oh, so I didn't know 7 Max was in Greece. Oh no, dude. Yeah, I feel like that part of Europe gets really bad pricing on electronics, but I could be wrong. But yeah. And Romans, yeah, it's crazy, 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 crazy. Well, dude, it's funny you should say that, Servant Max. So you remember back in the day, people used to buy the pre-built PCs just for the GPUs and then flog the rest of it on eBay or something. So maybe people are going to do it now with memory. I don't know. I don't think it's worth it. I mean, the absolute price difference isn't the same as it was with the GPUs, was it? So I don't know. But you know, the thing is, 7 Max, you might get a better deal on a pre-built because they might have old stock at the old price. So it's worth looking into. Um, Certainly, some of the models that I've had on the website, which have since sold, you know, if you were to add today's RAM prices in, it would be cost price. So they're basically getting it built for free. So, you know, that's the way it is. All right, so I think we're caught up. I think the Steam machine should cost no more than £500. Above £500 or dollars or whatever, or euros, whatever, it's dead in the water because you're compromising your experience already by having a mobile platform that you can't really upgrade. So I just don't see this being a good value play at all. I think this is for Valve to say, listen, if you're a bit stupid and you don't want to do any research and you just want to go from console to PC, then you can just buy the Steam machine and they can go, yeah, I've got a gaming PC. But it's really just a console packaged differently. It's like a weird sort of it's sort of between a laptop PC and a console. It's like, oh, it's in that kind of mix. So yeah, I'm not a fan. I'm not going to make a video because I've actually got a Radeon 7600 still in stock, so I can test it with a 7500F. I think, Roman, if they try and sell this for $900, I think that is crazy, crazy. Yeah. See, Servant Max has pointed out the exact thing that I hate about Facebook Marketplace. People are just completely unreasonable. But you don't have the eBay fees, so that's why. 3070 for 650 euros, dude. Just get a 5070. You can get that for cheaper than that, can't you? Yeah, I think if people buy this for 900 to 1200, they are idiots because they haven't done any basic research. That is crazy. Okay, so we've essentially all smacked the Steam machine into yesterday because it's like a last gen platform being released as a new product to capture stupid people. Yeah, Brian, I know, mate. I hate it. It's just annoying. Like the worst bit is on Facebook Marketplace. I don't know if they've changed it, but if like someone would come in all guns blazing, like trying to say, "Oh, you need to charge this much," or you know, you're charging too much for this. If you say, "Okay, fine, don't buy it," then they'll give you a negative review, but they haven't bought anything. So how could they leave you a review? But it happened all the time back in the day. Like just because you don't get what you want, you can't just give people a bad review, especially if you haven't bought anything. Well, maybe Jay Dotsy's right. Maybe they're just buying it because it's made by Valve. I don't know. But it's not. I think a console is better than this. Because at least with a console, you can resell it and you can be sure that the games are going to be supported. Whereas this is just like a kind of a crap PC, end of the day, or a low-end PC that you could build better yourself anyway. Yeah, the only downside with the consoles, which is something people never talk about so people never talk about this with console. The total cost of ownership is actually a lot higher with the console than you think, because at some point you're going to have to buy another controller, so that's like 50 quid. I mean, I guess the same on a PC, right? But they're not including the PS Plus or whatever the Xbox equivalent is to play online, so that's like 50 quid a year just to play online, which you're going to save by having a PC. I think the used PC market is a bit kinder than the used console market because people just sell the console when the new one comes out. Whereas with PCs, it's all in a bit of flux, isn't it? It's always moving. So yeah, it's difficult. And you can natively plug a keyboard and mouse into the consoles now. So yeah, I'm just struggling to see what the Steam Deck is offering to people. So yeah. Yeah, well, Roman Hills is, so yeah, exactly. With that kind of spec, 7600, 9060 X, 260 gigabyte, I mean, it's going to absolutely rinse the Steam Deck, isn't it? So the pricing is going to be key. You know, let's say Valve come out with this for 400 quid. You're laughing, that's actually a really good price. But it's not going to be, is it? It's not. It's going to be like 600 quid, $600, $700 for the 512 gig, I reckon. So dead in the water. Right, we're a little bit late, but it's okay. So let's go now onto some early Black Friday deals. Right, so I want to see now if my window capture is going to work. I bet it doesn't. Oh, it does. Yes, here we go. Okay, so that's not my private browsing tab. Oh, that's all right. Okay, fine. So we'll have to go back to display capture. Right, ignore the infinity scroll. All right, so we'll start with UK because I know the UK a little bit better. I don't live in Banbury, by the way. I've got a VPN, so come off it. Right, so we'll just go through each category and we'll have a look and see what some good deals are. So typically Black Friday, your best deals are not going to be on graphics cards. They never are. And actually, waiting for Black Friday isn't always the best thing. You don't always get the best prices, and the stock often goes out even if there's no deals. So let's have a look at some sort of lower Ryzens to start with. So 7600, so it's not on deal yet. 157 is not a deal. That's the standard price. So no. We'll just go quick fire. 9600, 187, not a good price. Don't buy that at that price. 269 for 9700X, too expensive. That could be down to 230 on Black Friday week. Ryzen 7800X 3D. 354. That's expensive for a 7800X 3D. Dude, no. This needs to be down at 300. So I get these on tray price for about 295 now, and that's a great deal. But 354, no way. The byte price for this is 300, I think. Because you might as well just get the slight extra and get the 9800X 3D for 400. So, yeah, not enamored with these CPU deals so far. Let's see if there's any Intels on offer. Because they can sometimes be really good price. And sometimes they do make sense. Okay, so 14600K, 189. Way too much money. No way. That should be down at 150. What about 265K? Okay, 262. So 254 for the KF, or if you need the quick sync for video stuff, you've got the 269. I mean, this is a pretty decent price. I could see this coming down by another 30. And then you would need a Z890, wouldn't you? But these might, I reckon these Z890s, or even better, B860. These are going to go. Is it B860 or is it B760? It's B860, isn't it? Yeah. So, see, that's not bad. So that's similar to an AM5 price. I could see these going down a lot because, let me tell you. Intel current generation has sold really badly. Really, really badly. Absolutely nobody wants it. And I get it. It's not that good for gaming compared to Ryzen. The only people that would want Intel are people that need a lot of Thunderbolt, or if they do a lot of creative stuff where the extra productivity will be useful. So you might find Intel stuff being really cheap. And when the price tips down for Intel to the point where you're getting a 265K for like 230 quid, you get a B860 motherboard for 100, like a decent one. Suddenly, maybe we're thinking we should go with Intel rather than Ryzen, So it's difficult. I mean, you do get the slot-in upgradability with the Ryzen, so that's pretty useful if you're going to use that. But there will be a bite point where the Intel makes a lot of sense. back in the day for me, that was the i7 10700F. Great deals on that. Really good deals back in the day. So 7800X3D 280. That's a really good price if that's in euros and including the tax. That's fantastic. You have a great time with that. And Brian says you get 7800X3Ds. Yeah, so that's great. I mean, I'm struggling to see what better value you're going to get than a 7800X3D for under 300 if you can do it. Tan May is here. Good to see you. Yeah, I've not got the Incel shirt on today, unfortunately. Yeah, so Servant Max, yeah, it might be a bit like the pandemic days, maybe. It's difficult, it's difficult. Although, to an extent, you can get away with lowering your RAM speeds, can't you? More than you can with a GPU. I mean, it's not going to feel great. Your 1% lows are going to be a bit trash if you go with cheap RAM. But it's easy to slot in. It's lower overall absolute cost, so it's not going to be quite as bad as the GPU apocalypse. Although, AI uses a lot of GPU as well, so who knows? You could be right. It could all go that way. So I don't know. So Roman says, "Are you running sales on the site?" Yes, I am running sales, but it will be like £75 off any PC, like a fixed amount. If I put 10, so my margin is less than 10%. So if I put 10% off, I'm going to lose money on every build. So it's not worth it. Yeah. Tan, we've not missed much. We've got the plan in the corner there. We just talked about the Steam Machine being really poor value. You can build your own PC much better for around the speculated same amount, so difficult. And now we're just looking at some deals. So we've looked at UK deals for some stuff. We haven't seen anything particularly good so far. We're trying to see if there's anything that's really good price now that we should buy before Black Friday. But things like motherboards, CPUs, you can probably wait. Although if you want, so if you're in the UK, if you want a 9800X3D, it's not going lower than this. No chance. Absolutely no chance is it going lower than 400. So if you're going to get 9800X3D, I would probably buy it now because it's likely to go out of stock. Because you've probably got a lot of people waiting to buy this, and you know, they get to Black Friday and it hasn't changed price. They'll go, oh well, I'll just buy it now, and then you'll run out of stock. And it won't be any more delivered until, you know, maybe before Christmas, maybe not. So I would just, if you're going to get a 9800X3D, I think you're not getting any better price than this. Either way, if you're buying it from Amazon, then you can just keep it in its box sealed, and then if the price changes later, you just return it. You've got returns out until like February now, so because it's the Christmas time. So yeah, although we were saying, Tammy, that the 7800X3D, this is a bad price. £354. That's too much. That's too much. This needs to be 300 or less for me to bite, which it is when I buy it from my distributors. So, and it's not even showing on screen because I didn't change it. Oh, I'm an idiot. Right. So 7800X3D, we said 355 is a bad price. Should be 300 or less. And we were saying the 9800X3D, 400 is good price. Not gonna get it lower than that, I don't think, for Black Friday. Sorry about that. Roman Hills, you get 20% margins on your builds. Jesus, dude, if I did that, I think I would probably have people coming around to my house to kill me. So, yeah, I can't get away with that. Back in the GPU apocalypse, I could, because I knew some people I could get GPUs off, and it was still cheaper than getting them anywhere else. So I used to have fat margins back then, but it's not the same anymore. All right, so we're saying CPU motherboard's good. CPU coolers, they could be a good price. So, you know, if you were looking at a specific cooler, like you wanted something, I don't know, a Corsair Nautilus or something, you know, I can see this going down to like 80, maybe 85. So if you're looking for a nice Corsair cooler, but of course, nowadays, anyone that's got their head screwed on straight would probably just get something like a Frozen Knot, wouldn't they? So, you know, I maybe going to get £3 or £4 off that Black Friday week. Who knows? It's already pretty dang cheap. One that I used quite recently, actually, which was really impressive, was Grand Vision. So it was the white version that I got. But I was very impressed with this. It's got the digital LCD, so you can program it like the NZXT, Krakens, and all the other ones you can do now. But it's a lot cheaper. The screen's pretty big, and the cooling is amazing, by the way. The cooling is really good. Like this is they've obviously put some special sauce in this that's made the cooling really good. But again, maybe you're going to get £5–10 off this, so you're not going to get a huge saving. SSDs, you usually get a saving on Black Friday, but with the NAND flash situation, maybe not. They are creeping up. If you are in the UK, there was a really good deal on an MSI that I bought a bunch of today. Dude, if you've got a lower end PC, £41 for 1 terabyte. Come on. Yeah, 250 TBW, a bit low, but it's going to be enough for most people, and it's got 5-year warranty anyway. Dude, this is real cheap. So, you know, there are going to be some deals. I don't think this is going to go lower for Black Friday, though. So this is the kind of thing I'm talking about. You know, sometimes the best deals are actually before Black Friday. So, yeah. Right, I'm going to catch up with the chat. So, Micro Center. Oh, yeah. So Micro Center is pretty good. We don't have that here. Unfortunately, there's not really any good electronic shops in the UK, which is to my benefit because people will come and buy PCs from me. Honestly, we've got one chain of proper PC shops. It's called Curry's or PC World. Ironically, you go in there and ask them anything about PCs, they don't know anything. And the PCs they've got are terrible. They're like those Acer things, those pre-built boxes. I had a guy, when I used to live in Cardiff in Wales, there was a guy who worked in the PC World there. And I got so many referrals off him because apparently every time somebody came in to buy a PC, he said, don't buy them from Curry's, just go to this guy, all right? And he'll sort you out. So it was really funny. Yeah, keep your deals to yourself, Roman. Come on, bro. The RAM prices are bad, Servomax, but they aren't going down because it's the spiral, right? It's the what happens is it all gets made worse because you get a shortage, then people stock up, like companies like me, my company, we're going to stock up, so there's going to be less supply. People get scared, they buy, so there's less supply, and you actually exacerbates the problem. If everyone just chilled out, it probably wouldn't be as bad as it is now, but it's human psychology. So I don't think it's going down. It's only going to go up, and the stock is also going to be poor as well. Brian says, did Currys sell? Yes, Currys do sell PC parts, but only online. You can click and collect them the next day, but they don't actually sell them in the shop. So there's nowhere in the UK that I can think of, like a big retailer that sells PC parts. Unless anyone knows of one. You know, sometimes independent shops do, but most don't. Yeah, you can't. Those Ace, they're awful, aren't they? So we've got Apple's got a question: 7900 XTX or 9070 XT? I think 9070 XT. So it's going to depend on what you do with it, because the benefit of the XTX is that it's going to have more VRAM. So if you're using a VRAM intensive application like Microsoft Flight Simulator, you might be better off with the 7900 XTX. But you get the upgraded software suite with the 9070 XT, you get more support, and 16 gigs is enough for everything. You don't really need more than that. So I would do that. You're gonna probably get a longer warranty, unless you're buying both of them new. I think either one is gonna be fine. Personally, I'd get the 9070 XT. But it does, either one is gonna be fine. They're both gonna be great, so don't worry. Yeah, you say that, Servomax, but I'm still using a 4080 Super, and I'm on an ultra-wide, and I get over 200 FPS in Battlefield 6, so I'm pretty happy with it. So it's a 1440p ultra-wide. Yeah, we'll see. We'll have to see how Redstone does, because the Redstone might be really important for the Steam machine, to see how good it's going to do, because they might be able to backport it. I don't know. Yeah. So that's what I do, Apple. I think you're going to be happy either way. So if you've already bought the XTX, then don't worry about it. You're still going to have a great time. But out of the two, I would take the 9070 XT. nowadays the software suite is just as important as the hardware, because games are increasingly going to rely on these software upscaling. Think of that what you will, but I don't know. All right, so let's go back to looking at some current prices. So we were saying that something like this MSI Spatium M461, which hopefully you can see on screen. If it's not working, let me know. You're not going to get a better deal for a sort of entry-level SSD. Yeah, it's not the fastest speed. It doesn't have DRAM. I don't even know if it's got HMB or a memory buffer. But at £41, come on, man. Come on, dude. I'm gonna buy a couple more of these actually for some low-end PCs. I'll have to check if it's got HMB, because in my company I don't sell PCs with SSDs that don't have HMB or DRAM. So I'm gonna have to find out if it has HMB or at least an SLC cache. Yes, it does. Okay, great. So this is an amazing deal then. If it's got HMB, you're going to be fine for gaming. So I think fill your boots with that one, boys. If you're looking for an extra 1 terabyte or for a new build, I don't think you're going to get lower than that on Black Friday. So other components, GPUs, maybe. So I reckon we're going to see a lot of the 5060s on offer. This Inspire was at 230 on the Prime Day. So I bet that will be 230 on Black Friday. So if you're quick, you can get one of these. I actually got it for 210 because I had a business code. But you're going to be laughing with it. I think a 5060 for 230 quid is actually a fair deal. 260, it's a bit much. So, you know, and this one's even cheaper. Maybe this one will go down. So I think if you're looking for an 8 gig card for 1080p, I think you could be in for some really good deals. I think 5070, you might also get some deals on 5070. I mean, they're not going to be, obviously not going to be deals now, but we're just trying to look at pricing to see if things are going to change. But 5070s could come down because they're lower on the VRAM as well. So yeah. Yeah, Brian, you should get it. If you need storage or building a PC, you should definitely do it. Yeah, Tanmay, but the thing is, you'd be surprised. So some SSDs don't even support HMB. So most of them should have it. And HMB is like a technology, for people who don't know, it's technology on the SSD where it will steal a portion, a very small portion of your system memory in order to hold a map of the data on the SSD. That helps a lot with keeping it running smoother. DRAM is a little chip of RAM that sits on the SSD that does that, which is slightly better. But for gamers, the HMB is perfect. So most of them will have HMB, but really bad ones like the Kingston NV2, NV3, they don't even have HMB supported. So the performance is gross. It's like using a hard drive after a while. So yeah, we'll see. So Appful builds, I don't think hard drives are going to come down for Black Friday. They've kind of reached their point now where they're not going to change in price. So I think if you're looking for one, I would just get it. Yeah, well, Servermax, if the AI bubble bursts, we're all going to be in for a payday. So I wouldn't worry. It will still get worse for a short while because it always lags behind. Because if it bursts, it means they're going to stop buying what's being produced. So it's not like it's not going to be revolutionary straight away, but it will make a big difference. I wouldn't wait. Yeah, I agree with Roman Hills. If you're going to build a PC, I would buy a lot of the parts now, particularly with extended holiday returns period. I would be buying it now. What's going to come down on Black Friday? Intel CPUs, Intel motherboards, I think are going to come down. 8 GB graphics cards. So if you're building an entry level, I think you're going to be able to get some good deals on 8 GB graphics cards. PSU, you'll probably get some deals on PSUs as well. There's some really good. I'll show you one really good deal. If in the UK at the moment, there's an absolute steal. You can't get it in the US because it's deep cool, but I'll show you in a minute. OLED prices will come down because they're new technology that's starting to bed into the mainstream. So. Okay, right, so let's go back to Infinity Mirror and then we'll have a look. So It's 57, is that loading? Yeah, there we go. Ooh! Okay, so 479 is not a bad price for 5070. I think the bite point for a 5070 for a self-builder in the UK, £450, $480 if you're in the US. I can see this coming down to 450 or even lower, but I think 450. And I think that's a great deal for a 5070. £450 for a 5070. I think you're laughing with that. I think that's great. So I think you're going to be, if you're going for a 5070, you're going to have a good time. And I like the 5070. It is enough for 1440p for a couple of years, but it might slow down after that, depending on the games. The higher ones, the 5070 Ti's, the 5080s, these ain't coming down very much. I don't think. The 16 gig cards aren't coming down very much. You know, maybe you get this WindForce, maybe you might get that down to 950. Maybe. I think 950 is a good bite point for a 5080. Maybe you're going to get 899. I doubt it. I doubt it big time. I think 950 is the bite point for a 5080, and it is really fast. 5090 isn't coming down at all. Don't wait for a deal on a 5090. It will not happen because it has so much VRAM. It's a Halo product. It's not coming down. What about, so we were talking about 8 gig graphics cards. The 16 gig version of the 9060 XT, you may get one down at like 315, but it's not going to be a big saving because of the 16 gigs. Everyone wants 16 gigs. But let's say we wanted, and you might get a better model for the same money. Like this one, really nice card, down to the MSRP, 330, so pretty good. This 8GB version, I reckon this could come down to 230 to match the RTX 5060. I'd take the RTX actually, if that was the case, but I think this is overpriced. This needs to be a lot lower. But the 16 gig at 329 is an all right deal. You might get this down by another 10 or 15, but I wouldn't hold my breath. What about power supplies? Power supplies, you will probably get a good deal on Black Friday, and they're not very sexy, so people won't buy them. So this MSI, something like this, good quality 850. This, I think you'll get this down to 80, 85 pounds on the Black Friday week. So that's something worth looking out for. And I did say, Brian, I was going to show you a good deal if you were building a PC for a 750 watt power supply. I bought a bunch of these yesterday. Hopefully the deal's still, yeah. Dude, yes, come on, are you kidding me? Hopefully that shows up on screen. $38.99 for a 750 watt bronze deep cool. It's decently built. I've never had one fail and I've used about 20. It comes with the 12 volt 2x6 cable natively. It'll only deliver 450 through that, but it is a 750 watt power supply, so that's fine. It's got flat black cables. It's actually ATX 3.1 now, which means that it'll handle the transient spikes really well. This is perfect. Anything up to 5070 Ti with a Ryzen chip, you'll be fine with this. Anything higher, you definitely want to get an 850 gold. So there are some good deals to be had. So Deep Cool is really good. I really like Deep Cool. I don't know what they did to you Americans to piss you off, but I really rate Deep Cool. Good quality products, good price. Let's catch up on the chat. So yeah, I think, well, the bubble probably won't burst for a while, and if it does, it won't be a thing. It'll be a slow slide away, and I think we'll have a bit of a fracturing of society on a bigger point, where in-person events are going to become very lucrative. I went to play a sport called paddle for the first time the other day. It's a bit like tennis, but obviously it's not strings, it's like a hard bat, and the court's indoors, it's a bit smaller, you can hit it off the walls, it's a bit more social. I think things like that are going to be really big in the next 10 years when people are sick of just being on computers all the time. They want to unplug, do something in person. Little business opportunity there. So ADH and MSI have collaborated to make a 128 gig memory module. Well, we won't be seeing any of that. Yeah. What do I think of the Deepcool CH160? Really cool. I'd probably get the CH160 Plus, slightly bigger, but a bit more room for your stuff. The regular CH160 is a little bit of a squeeze, particularly with a full ATX unit. If you're going to spring for an SFX power supply, then yeah, regular CH160 is fine. 5080 FE for MSRP. Fair enough. I like the FEs; they're really nice. So can't complain. The Gigabyte 5000 series are leaking thermal putty. Are they? I haven't noticed that myself. They've all been pretty good. I've mainly been using Palette for the 50 series. Just because I really like Palette cards. I think they're great. They're inoffensive. The cooling's really good. The failure rate is really low. And they run quiet. They're not sexy brand like Asus, but Palette stuff is great. I really rate Palette. Yeah, so you paid $709 for your 5070 Ti, Roman. So I'm going to assume that includes tax. That's better than we get in the UK. So UK cheapest, I can get a 5070 Ti. Palette Gaming Pro would be about 670. I bought one today actually, 670 including VAT. So yeah. But that PSU, honestly, I'll get it back up in a minute. Tame says, "What's the cybernetics?" I think it's silver. I'll have to check. I've actually got one upstairs. I could go and get one, but I think it's cybernetic silver, which is fine. 7800X3D, yes, Brian. I can get those for 300. They're going for 355 at the moment. That's too much. 300 is the bite point. Tell you what, if you're in the UK and you're having real trouble getting one at a good price, just send me a message at pc36.co.uk. Say, could I have one of your tray or OEM 7800X3Ds? I'll give it to you for like $315, $320. If the price is really high and that's all you can afford, then I'll get you one cheaper than what you can buy from retail. So let me know. But I get them at $295. So don't forget, I've got to factor in taxes and shipping and stuff like that. So I can't give it to you for exactly cost price, but if that's what you're after, yeah, let me know. I won't be able to get you a cheaper price on the 9800X3D. That's already good. Oh, Gamdia, is that why Gamdias are getting loads of reviews on YouTube at the moment? So they're reusing a lot of Deepcool's tooling. That's so interesting. What's the point of AI? They don't. Yeah, it's all a bit of a circle jerk at the moment. It's because it's early stages. It will probably be. It will be big. It will. It will make a big difference to everything. It's just early. It's like, you remember how like Uber never made any money for ages. They just got to the top of the pile by not making money, and then everyone else died off, and now they can start making their money. Yeah. So 78, yeah. So Brian say, with the PSU, would it be good with 70? Yes, absolutely. So let's get that back up, because it is an insanely good deal. So, and this ain't going cheaper. This is the best deal on a power supply I think I've ever seen. This is, I don't know, they're not making any money on that. So 750 watts. It has the 2x6, so the 12 volt high power cable, and it's only a 450 watt. It's not 600 watt, but you don't need a 600 watt cable for what this power supply is going to be powering. ATX 3.1, and for those of you who don't know, ATX 3.1, it has a lot of different things in it, but the main thing you want to know about is that it's designed so that it can handle transient spikes up to twice the rated wattage. Really handy for modern graphics cards. This is fab. So, you know, 7800X3D is gonna, if you put PBO on, absolute max, 140 watts usage. 5070 Ti, I don't even know what wattage. What does that use? I reckon that's probably about, what, 300 watts max? Let's have a look. 5070 Ti TDP. 300, so let's say 320 to give it a bit of a penumbra. So 320 plus 140, so that's like 450, and then maybe allow 150 watts for the rest of your parts. You've still got a decent 200 watt-ish headroom. So 5070 Ti and a 7800 X3D, absolutely fine with this. Absolutely fine. They are rock solid. They're fine. I've never had a problem with a deep cool power supply in my life, so they're really good. No, fair enough. Well, it's difficult. I think the other thing with Uber was that it was revolutionary. You can track the taxi coming to your house. I mean, that's pretty sweet. Yeah, so you know, if you're going to overclock, that's when you would need a different power supply, like an 850 watt, because the more demand you put on it, then obviously the more power supply you're going to need. I don't even know what that means. EMEA, something economic area, maybe. I don't know. High review from Chinese websites like it. Nika, if it's too good to be true, it probably is. Sometimes you're going to get something cheap from AliExpress. You know, a tray CPU. Yeah, you might. That's fine. But if everything's 30% off, I got a bridge to sell you, mate. I got a bridge to sell you because not happening. The margins at distributors are so slim. They're like 5%. So there's no way you're getting it 30% cheaper, in my opinion. Yeah, I could be wrong. Who knows? Yeah. Well, maybe we just don't know the AI, like how, you know, because I think it is going to be huge. I think it is. But there will be a opposite reaction to people wanting to reconnect with nature and other things. So there will be an opposite reaction. All right. So I think rather than go to Amazon US, seeing as I run out of time, we've talked a lot about what parts are going to go cheap. Cases will probably go cheap as well. So I can definitely see reductions on cases. Can you get the Victor V100 from Amazon? Really good case. Got a video coming out on this one soon. So yeah, 76. That's a decent deal. You could probably get it cheaper somewhere else. To be honest, I think these go for 70. Things like this could come down by £5 or £10, and all these things are going to help offset that increased RAM cost. So being a bit savvy with your choices will help. That's my 2 cents anyway. Okay, so we're way behind schedule. I've probably only got about 20 minutes left. So why don't we get into designing some PC builds? And what I want is you guys to have a bit of input and tell me if you think that I'm making any mistakes with the things I'm putting together. I mean, spoiler, I'm probably not. I build a lot of computers, but I'd like to hear your opinions. Like, if you were going to buy a computer, like, which of these decisions that I'm making would you disagree with? Okay, so let's go from the top. I will put us back onto this. Hopefully we'll be able to see the PC part pick. So I've got a Deepcool CH260 I've got in that I want to do a series with. Ignore that it's out of stock and ignore the price because I got it for £49. So what kind of builds do we think we could do with this Deepcool CH260? It's like a micro ATX thing. I think the idea is that it's bigger than the CH160, so you could put the ATX power supply in a lot easier. That would keep the costs down. So we could either go for a super budget build, or we could go for something with a 5070. So I've got a Founders Edition 5070. Let's see if it. I don't wonder if it comes up in this list actually. It does. So the Founders is actually more expensive than another model at the moment, but I wanted one because I like the look of it, and I think it would look cool in this case. So I paid $499 for that. Now, in terms of what we put with it, for me, the natural kind of next step would be to put a 7800 X3D in there. But what do you guys think? And I'll catch up on the chat while I'm here. Lots of AI chat. Would you rather have 7600X paired with a 3056 gig or 9600X paired with a 3060? That's like asking me if I'd rather have a bad PC or a good PC. Maybe you got them mixed up. So, okay, I'll do one with a 5070 and then we can look at like a super budget after that and we can compare. 1000-watt Be Quiet dark power. See, the thing is, ride or die. I never use the higher end Be Quiets because they're way overpriced. I don't see the need for a posh power supply. Like, obviously, if you've got a high-end build, you want a nice one, but I don't know what that Be Quiet's going to give me that a Corsair RM1000E isn't going to give me. So that's my 2 cents. Oh, 3058 gig. So, well, the 3058 gig is much better than the 3056 gig, and it's not just the VRAM. Like, the actual card is better as well. The 9600X is faster than the 7600X, like you said. But I don't know. I think those two are quite mismatched and should probably spend more money on the GPU compared to the CPU. So I'd probably, if you're in that position, get the cheapest AM5 CPU you can, like a 7500F from AliExpress, and then whatever graphics you can afford. That'll give you the best upgradability. If you want the best performance today, then you might want to go for an AM4 platform because you're going to save on the RAM as well. So it depends. 229 US for a 1000-watt power supply. Dude, no! I'm not having any of that. Right, 7 Max is off. Yeah, good luck with your studies, mate. Don't stick around on this stream. Go do some bloody work. All right. Okay, so let's finish. Oh, it's not the right window, is it? There we go. I might be able to do window capture now. Hang on a minute. Yes. Okay. All right. Fit to screen. I'll just make it slightly bigger. Okay. Then we'll drag it underneath. Oh, we're cooking now, baby. Okay. Right. So let's go for CPU next. Okay. So 7800X 3D. We can change this price to what I actually get them for, so 295. We'll get to the cooler later. Motherboard. So we need to do micro ATX, and I'm not using an A620, and I'm not using a B840. Absolutely no way. Just don't get the PBO. Although the PBO is only a modest benefit, to be honest, but it just doesn't look very good. All right. Ooh, hang on a minute. That's a good price. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Oh, it's only got 2 on the top. So this is probably a 6-phase VRM, most likely. All right. Well, that's not an awful price. What else could we get? The 850. Ah, now this one is deceptively good, and I'll tell you why. All right. 8-phase VRM. Okay, I think 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I'm pretty sure it is. Let me just look it up. VRM. Oh, is it 6? Oh, 6 plus 1 plus 1. So it's not an 8. Oh, I thought it was an 8. Okay, so 6-phase, but it's still going to be fine for 7800X 3D because we need to offset the RAM price. And it's a 2-DIMM board, which usually means that it's crap. But actually for AMD, it's kind of perfect because I don't know if you've ever tried to run high-speed RAM with 4 sticks on new AMD stuff. It's bad time. So the 2 sticks, actually, you might even be able to overclock it a bit with two sticks. So I think this isn't like the most. It's not awful. Let's put it that way. What else have we got? So this is probably a bit more robust. How many phases have we got here? It's really hard to see from here. It looks like a lot. Hang on. VRM phases. 10? Jesus. Well, this is a lot better board then. we'll add that for now. But I think the ASRock will be fine. We'll add that for now. All right, so I've got a few so far. So memory is going to be the real bitch, isn't it? Okay. I think we're going to have to like take a little bit of a hit on the memory by going with CL36 instead. But I don't really want to compromise the speed. So usually I go CL30 for these, but it's not going to happen, is it? So, oh my God. Do you know this used to be £80 like a month ago? All right, so this is pretty reliable. Let's just go with that. Storage. I'll go with one of these because I had them at a good price. So I got one of these for $55. And I've got the case and then power supply. So I'll probably just put it. The difficulty is this will look a lot better with a modular or semi-modular. They don't really make many semi-modulars anymore. Let's see. So 650 is going to be the minimum for this, really. Ideally a bit higher. Oh, whoa, that is a good price. Oh my God. Dude. £75, Montech Century 2 850 watt. Come on. That's a deal. Could raise the voice. On mine, the microphone is going up to like the yellow. So usually that means it's about right, but I don't know. 98, yeah, so Brian, you can get the 9800 XQD for 400 on Amazon. So have a look. Yeah, so Tanmay, you're absolutely right. Because with a 10-phase VRM, like, I wish I had a way to get the calculator up. So, you know, even if worst case scenario, your CPU is running at 1 volt, which is low. 10-phase VRM, 60 amp power stages, that's like 600 watts on a bad day of CPU potential power. So that's going to run any CPU. So I think that's great. I think the Gaming Plus series is really good from MSI. I really like it a lot. Appful says, I'm building a PC for my sister with i7 Gen 4K. What does that mean? And a low profile GPU for €100. Oh, you mean like a 4000 series, like a Haswell, right? Yeah, I mean, dude, if you can get a PC that games for €100, that's fantastic. I'm a little bit too low. Okay, let me just turn that up. I've maxed it out now, so it'll be a little bit better. I can't... The only way... hang on. Maybe if I slide it up. There you go. That might be a bit better now. We'll see. You look like you used to do economics. Not economics. I'm actually a doctor as well as doing this YouTube. So maybe that's where you're getting the academic vibe from. Who knows? Fine. Okay, so 75 is a great deal for an 850 watt, and it is going to be modular, and the case is cheap, so we might be able to get away with this for our Deepcool CH260 build. So should we? Okay. All right. Well, let's add that for now. We can always change it later. Right. So the only thing we need now is a CPU cooler. Do we go with a tower cooler, or do we go with an AIO? I think tower cooler, personally. That's where I'm going with this. I'm thinking like, I've got an AK620 digital. There's no, don't pay this much for it though. It was like 30 quid. So you could do that, or there is a Thermalright similar one with slightly worse software for about 20 quid. Oh no, it's AK400. It's the AK400 that I've got for that, isn't it? That's why, yeah. Okay, so AK620. I've got an AK620, but it was actually a bit more than that. It was 45. Okay, so what do we think about this then? So 1275 for an air-cooled 7800X3D and 5070 build. We could get this down, so we could go with the Deepcool PL750D and save about £35. but then you're going to have to bunch all those cables up and it's going to be visible in the case. I don't think that's going to look very good. And this is the cheapest decent modular power supply that I can find. So that's what, you don't really need an 850 watt for this, but at that price, it's pretty good. I'm struggling to see what I can change here. I could probably get this, change this to that ASRock board. We could get that down to 115. That would knock about £15 off the price. What do we think? Canadian search on a PSU. No, so the thing is, Slayer, PSUs are inoperable. Don't open them up. The only time I've ever opened a power supply was to get a screw out that had fallen in there. I wouldn't service a power supply. Just the risk benefit is crazy. Like, you could set fire to your house, you could do all kinds of rubbish. So yeah. There's a B650MA black variant. It can even cheaper, lag slightly behind, and BIOS supports some fish. Oh, all right. Shall I have a look? See, I think I've seen that one as well, actually, the B650MA. The ASRock's fine on X3D. It's fine. The BIOS updates sorted it. It's completely sorted it. I've used it loads of times. It's been fine. As long as you update the BIOS. And the reports of that are very few and far between. It's like the same thing with the 12-volt high power cable. I've never had a situation where a cable's melted, and I use more GPUs than most people. So, I'm not saying it doesn't happen. I'm just saying that maybe there's a bit of user error or another problem in there. I think the ASRock's are fine with the BIOS update, and I do look at the voltages myself. If the voltages are going too high, I will clamp it down myself in the BIOS, because, you know, I saw the 9800X3D with PBO was going up to nearly 1.3 volts, and I was starting to get a bit squiffy then. So I do keep an eye on it. Slayer, have you noticed the rise in RAM? Yes, I've definitely noticed the rise in RAM prices. Oh my God, have I? Jesus. I bought a load just before it got bad, so I have got a stock of about 8 more kits at a good price. But it's gone crazy, and it's not going down anytime soon, I can tell you that. I knew it was going to go up about 2 weeks before all the announcements came out, because I went to my distributor and their prices had gone up quite a lot. But the retailers still had the good prices. Whenever that happens, it's like you can see what's going to happen to retail in the future. Okay, so let's have another look then. So I think this is a really nicely balanced build. It's going to be great for 1440p at a somewhat reasonable price. Let's see if we can get that B650MA that Tanmay was talking about. Oh yeah, so is that the MSI one? So it's a bit more expensive. There's the Asus one. I think that looks kind of gross because of the silver. And I don't know, guys, I'm going to level with you here. I'm going to tell you something so let me just show you. So I looked for the B650MA. There was the MSI for 160. There was the Asus Prime for 115, right? I hate Asus motherboards. I'll use them if they're a good price, but I really don't like them. I think they're trash. Like, especially on the DDR4 ones, like they always seem to break. I just don't get it. I wouldn't use an Asus for my own PC in a motherboard. Then put it that way. I think their reliability isn't great, at least from my perspective. So do with that information what you will. My favourite motherboard manufacturer is MSI, but their prices haven't been as good for this AM5 socket. But that would be my choice, actually. They've got the best BIOS, very stable, excellent RAM compatibility with MSI. So that's my preference. Apple, do you know a cheap? So you can't use the word cheap with RAM anymore. Not going to happen, buddy. 48 gigs a year, 48. So not going to be cheap. I got a 48 gig kit of that speed with RGB for about £240 last week. That's the cheapest. That was good value at the time. It's probably gone up more. And 48 gigs a really good spot to be in. They just don't make as many of them, but it's perfect for DDR5. I think 48 is a real sweet spot, in my opinion. Yeah. 2 cases where it melts on 5070 Ti and 1 case 970 XGH. Really? That's so interesting. I've never seen it happen. Never seen it happen. And I've sold probably over 100 with that connector. Maybe even 200. Never seen it myself, so I don't know. I'm not saying it doesn't happen. Obviously, you've seen that it does happen. Yeah, I know, Ride or Die, man. The price is absolutely crazy. I used to get my bread and butter was 32 gigs, 6000 C30. It was A-Data Lancer. It was £90 every day of the week. Now it's gone up to like 170. Crazy, crazy. Motherboards are actually good value now. Not really cheap, but better. Yeah, yeah. You could get a board without an EZ debug. It's difficult though. If something goes wrong, that debug light is very helpful. Yeah, dude, Brian. So that PSU and MSI SSD are really good value. £41 for 1 terabyte, half decent SSD, and then £39 for a 750 watt ATX 3.1 PSU. Oh, you're not going to get that cheap on Black Friday, I tell you. But the other thing, Brian, is you could just keep it in its packaging. Don't unbox any of your stuff until you're ready to actually physically build. Price goes down, return it, buy the cheaper price. You can't lose, but you can't lose. Said to RMA Asus Prime motherboard. Oh, DOA, no. I haven't had a DOA motherboard in a long time. Yeah. Yeah, the SSDs will be going up though, Slayer. They'll be going up. They're just lagging behind because they're not as much in demand. Okay, right. So, unfortunately, these don't look like that's probably not going to be as good as the. So, if I was going to recommend to somebody to build this, this would be a really good build. This would be fantastic. But you could get a single tower cooler for like 20 quid. For 7800 X3D, it'll be fine. And then you could get the B850MX. This one. I've seen these I can get these for 105. So if we put that in at 105, because for a 7800 X3D, you don't need more than a 6-phase VRM really. But you know, if I was recommending to somebody to build it for themselves, then that MSI Gaming Plus would be really, really good. 10-phase VRM, it's fantastic. But actually, what I'm going to do in the end, because I have one in stock, I'm going to use this mortar. I love the mortar boards. They're so good, man. I paid 155 for it, but I need to get rid of it. So we'll put that in, and I think that's going to be our spec. I'll put in some case fans. You know, we could put RGB, but I think this one will look better with just black fans. What do you guys think? So let me show you the list. So 7800 X3D, AK620. I'm going to hide myself for a second so you can see the prices. So that's the price that I can get the 7800 X3D for. And that's what I wouldn't pay more than that, actually. Deep Core AK620 is pretty nice. Dual tower cooler with digital display, but a 20 quid single tower cooler is going to be great. I'm using this mortar board, not because it needs it, but because I've got it in stock and need to get rid of it. ASRock B850MX for 110, great. MSI Gaming Plus, 10-phase VRM for like 130, even better. Some half decently priced Crucial Pro RAM, which if you wanted to tweak this to CL30, I reckon it would probably do it. Good price, 1 terabyte NVMe with memory buffer, and we've got a 5070 Deepcool CH260, and I think we're going to have to keep that Montech Century 2 in there. At this price, you're not going to get a much better deal than that. You don't need an 850, you could get away with a 650, but there wasn't any 650s for a better price, so you might as well just get this one. If you were building this one yourself, just get a single tower cooler. You don't necessarily need this. That will save you 20. Get the cheaper motherboard, that will save you 40. You could get a cheaper version of the 5070 for 450. I'm just using this one because I've got it and it looks good in photos. And then a similar deal like this, anything modular that's over 650 watts, ideally 750 would be perfect for this. And then we'll just fill it out with some black fans that I've got spare. All right, I'm going to catch up with the chat. I'll leave that up on screen for a minute so you can see it. But the actual total is 1,300 quid. So what do we think about that price for this system? What would anybody change anything from that list? I'll read the chat whilst we're waiting. And I'll put my camera back on. No, they're not shit. They're not shit. They're good. They're ATX 3.1, cybernetic silver. They've got 450 watt, 12 volt high power. For budget to mid range, they're great. I've used some, I think 15 or 20 of them. Rock solid. Never had a problem with them. You know, for the really low end builds, I'll use a Deepcool PF 500 80 plus white. That isn't the best PSU. It's actually fairly bad. But for what you're using it for, it's great. So, you know, whilst I wouldn't use that PL750D for a high-end PC with like a 5080, obviously that, you know, technically it would fit within the wattage, but it's not worth it. For saving a bit of money lower down on the stack, pretty damn good. Pretty damn good. I've never had a problem with them. And Tanmay says, yeah, PN850. So I think PN850 is good as well. It's cybernetic silver, so I think the PL750D is fair. But you know, everyone can have their own opinion. That's the thing with the PC parts. You know, it's custom, so you can make it however you want. If you want to buy a different power supply, it's not up to me or anyone else to tell you what to buy. I'm just sharing the experience that I've had. So you could probably get, we'll have a look in a minute. We'll see if we can get a 9070 for the same price. We'll see. Yeah, so Slayer, we'll have a look for a 9070 in a minute, because you could be right there. Okay. I don't know what, so Ozzy, what would you like me to review? Because if you want me to review the power supply, like, I know if a power supply is reliable, because I'll use it, and if I get customers having problems with it, I'll hear about it. But that's not the same as a technical review, and I'm not an engineer, so I'm not gonna know the technical ins and outs of opening up a power supply, looking inside it, poking around, because it's just not needed, is it? That's for somebody else to do. So let's have a look. Let's see what else we can get, because actually maybe a 9070 is a better choice for you. So let's have a look. So let's get rid of that. We'll tick the 9070 and 9070 XT and see what we can get. So, dude, right away, there you go. So same price for a 9070, which will have more VRAM. And then where's the nearest 9070? Or you could pay 560 to get the 9070 XT. That seems to be the next one up. So this is probably overall a better build, in my opinion. And again, it is just opinion. Because you get the 16 gigs. What you'll lose is the software suite. So if you're going to do any kind of video editing, if you're going to need CUDA or something else like that, then you may want the NVIDIA. That's why I use NVIDIA, because it really helps in DaVinci Resolve. But if I was a pure gamer, maybe I'd want to get the Radeon. That's why knowing what you're using the PC for is so important. Ozzy, yes, you can send the list. I've probably just about got time to do that. So what you can do is on PC Part Picker, let me show you. So you see here, it's got /list/ this code, right? So the YouTube won't let you put the whole URL, but just copy the last bit after that / and then we'll have a look at it on stream together. You can definitely do that. So Alpha was €400 and Ryzen 5 5500 and RX 5800 XT. 58? Is that? You mean 5700 XT? Yeah, so Tanmay is right. On this one, the motherboard is too expensive, but we're just using it from our current inventory. I need to use it up. But so the best choices, whilst we're waiting for that other list to come in, this one, this is the best deal. No, not the Gigabyte, it's the MSI. MSI. This one. This one was a better deal because it was 130, so it's cheaper than the Mortar and probably going to give you equivalent performance in real usage. 10-phase VRM, so if you want to upgrade to a Ryzen 9, you can do it in this board. For 10-phase VRM, that's a cracking price, 130. So like that would be what I go for. If you need to save money, you can get a cheaper board. It's fine, but this is real good. This is real nice stuff. Yeah, I did see Gamers Nexus video on it, but the problem is I don't really learn anything. Like the price is high because other people are buying it. Well, what else do I need to know? Right, Ozzy's put his code in the chat, so let me. I wonder if I can copy straight from OBS. We'll see. Which region are you in, Ozzy? I need to know what to put beforehand. I'll just put the regular. So I've just put it into the US one for now, but hopefully that's okay. Oh, it's UK. Okay, fine. All right then. Okay. Hang on a minute. Okay, so you need to tell me what you're going to do with this system. What is the intended usage of this system? Because that will completely change what we decide to do with components. Slayer says, can you do something better than Steam Machine? Yes, you can do something better with the Steam Machine for about, we looked at it earlier in the stream, for about £560. So yeah. Rider says, I'd only consider 16 gig cards. I mean, that's fair enough. Yeah, I've got 4080 Super, it still does the job. It depends on the games. Like, if you're going to play mainstream multiplayer games, the 12 is going to be all right, but in general, you are going to get more breathing room with the 16. So yes, I can see where you're coming from with that. AI designing, and so that actually makes sense. All right, so let's look over this list together. Is there a reason why you went with the 4900K? Because it's quite expensive for what you're getting. So if you need Intel for your AI work, I would get on a newer platform. I'd probably get on the latest gen because it's quite good pricing. Or I would go with an AMD system. I think the AMD is going to be fine for AI. And again, it would depend on the games that you play. At 4K, you can actually get the Intels faster than the AMDs, so it depends. So I'm going to assume that there's no special source in the Intel that you're gonna gain for AI. As far as I know, it's mainly GPU and memory bound. So why don't we just really trim this list down? We're going to get rid of that as well, because trying to get that much RAM at that speed stable is a bad time. We'll get rid of that. The 50, I'm just going to put in like a placeholder price. You can get 5090s for around 2100. Doesn't matter which model. If you like that case, we'll leave that. We don't need to spend that much on a power supply. We'll get this from a key reseller, so £18. All right, so we'll go with 9950 X3D. That. is that actually going to be in stock at that price? I doubt it. Oh, it is in stock. Oh, hang on a minute. Well, I'm going to assume that that listing is correct, and it is 2 sticks. If not, then you might be in trouble, but we'll see. You can always return it. Okie dokie. So I think we've saved a lot of money already so far. So you needed 2 4 terabytes, did you? I'm going to assume you actually need that much. We'll see. So what's good here? You'll want something with DRAM probably. Oh, T500, nice. Okay. We'll just put in whatever actually is the cheapest 59C. Cheapest being tongue-in-cheek. No, I'm not getting a Ventus. I'm the law of the cheapest model guy. I say get the cheapest GPU. I've been scarred too many times by Ventus, so I'm not going to get a Ventus. WindForce will be good. WindForce will be decent. Palette Game Rock will be good. Zotac is going to be fine. Any of these will be all right. Let's just go with the Game Rock. I like Palette, but either one will be fine. Cool. The Gigabyte might have better UK support, so you know you could go either way. If you like the case, you like the case. Can't argue with that. I'm pretty sure there's a Montec at a really good price for 1200. Let me have a look. So you get that NZXT, or you can get that Montec Century 2. Either of these are great. I think you can have a great time with either, but why don't we just get that one? Slightly less. So I need to actually put yours back in, don't I? And then we can compare the pricing. Right, go back to the chat. Copy it over. Hey? Oh, well, we'd have to rewind the stream, but basically, we're saving a heck of a lot of money here, thousands actually, and probably getting a better experience. So the CPU was more expensive. So this would be one way to do it with, tell you what, I'll save it. So I'll put AI Gaming AM5. So that'd be one way to go about it. If you wanted to save a bit more money, we just go bam, bam, and then we just change to Ultra. So you could go cheaper and go with a 265K like that. That would be pretty good for your AI stuff if you wanted to go cheaper. The 285K, yeah, it might be better, but you're not going to save really any money compared to the Ryzen. So, you know, it's much of a muchness. But if you need the Intel for some reason, you know, sometimes some people do. So we'll find a board that does it for you. Tomahawk's always pretty reliable. So there, so you know, 100 quid less or so. So either way, you know, you're gonna be all good. What did we call it? AI Gaming LGA. Okay. So those are the two options really. That at a glance, that's what I would go for. That one's slightly less. You know, it looks like you might also have to buy some fans for your case as well. But that would be what I would go for. Roman's off. See you later, Roman. I'm going to head off in a minute as well, actually. AMD has AVX 512 support. Oh, so there you go. So maybe AMD would be better. Why not a Xeon? Those platforms cost shed loads of money to actually get running. Doesn't really make any sense. Yeah. Rust, does it really? Rust reads 30 gig RAM. Is that because it's got a memory leak though? I don't know. That is kind of crazy. The GPU VRAM at 15 gig. But the problem is that's only one game. And from what I remember of Rust, it's not very well optimized. The Flare X5, if it's the same price, then to be honest, I don't care what brand the RAM is at all. I'll just get whichever one was the lowest price. It's just sometimes when I'm on the UK one, it will sometimes pick up Amazon US listings though, like things like the Flare X, they're often not actually available in the UK. So subconsciously, sometimes I just go straight past them. I can't believe Rust uses that much RAM though. That's crazy. Yeah. It's 11 years old, the game, is it actually? All right. Okay, so that was that build. I think I'm probably going to call it a night there, actually, everybody. We will do some PC building later in the week, actually, on a live, because I've got a couple of customer orders that I need to fulfill. So we'll see. Any final questions before I head off? I'll give it 30 seconds or so before I head off. Oh, that tea is ice cold. What was I thinking? Ah, well, there you go. So, yeah, I thought they might need some kind of fancy RAM. I think, you know, now that desktop CPUs have so many cores, requiring a high-end desktop platform like Xeon or Threadripper is actually, it's not needed as much for consumers anymore. Like back in the day when you could only get an 8-core, then it made sense, but not really anymore. That's fair, Brian, that's fair. Yeah, you can hold off. Dude, the PSU is fantastic. You know, some people will say don't cheap out on a power supply, but it's not a bad power supply. Like when they say don't cheap out, I think my interpretation is they mean don't buy a knockoff Chinese brand. But Deepcool's not a knockoff brand, and I use those all the time. And they'll come with warranty. And nowadays, this idea of a power supply taking the other components down with it when it goes, it doesn't happen as much anymore because of the protections that are required, particularly in the EU. So I think you'll be very happy with it. And let's say you're not happy with it. One, it's only 35 quid. Two, you can return it. So you're going to be happy. The SSD, yeah, wait if you want. I don't think you're going to get one cheaper than a terabyte for £42 though. So yeah, exactly. So Tan Maison, he's got it. So HDDT, yes, it is only needed if you need the PCIe lanes. It's the same thing on gaming platforms with the X boards for AMD. So X870, X670. For gaming, they're completely pointless. Unless you need to do some high-end RAM overclocking. But really, how much are you going to get from that? Maybe 5%. So it's the same thing. Most gamers, you know, a B650, B850 with, you know, a decent number of VRM phases, you're good to go. The X boards are for people that need the PCIe lanes, and the HEDT is for people that need even more lanes and a lot of processing power. So yeah. Okay, I am going to sign off there. Thanks for joining me, everybody. I know no PC building today, but I'll probably do one later in the week because I've got a Corsair 2500X build, another one. Guys, let me just show you. There's just one series that just goes out of stock so fast, right? And I think they're overpriced, but they sell like you wouldn't believe. So this is my website. So I've sold like 3 of these this week. So it's this design with the Corsair 2500X. So I've got 2 sold this week. One of them was mega high end as well. That'll be a video on the channel, but I can't keep making videos with this case, so I'll probably do the 5070 Ti one. I'll do it on stream at some point this week, probably Wednesday or Thursday. But I don't know why this design. I mean, it looks really nice, but it's not. I wouldn't buy it, but it's good. So there's a spec if you want to see, but it's standard stuff. 7800 X3D, 32 gig, B850 board, 240mm cooler. Although most people upgrade to a 360. It says 750 watt bronze. Normally I comp people and give them an 850 gold for the same price, usually, depending on the market, but usually I do that. Yeah, but it is not cheap, guys. This is not a cheap PC. Like, build this yourself with a normal case, you could probably save 200 quid. But people buy it, so, you know, what are you going to do? The white text is bad for contrast. Do you think? I think you can see the white. I mean, I can see the white text really well on mine. That's interesting. Yeah. Because it's against like a purple black backdrop, so I thought it would make sense. But I don't know. Thanks, Brian. No worries, mate. See you later. So Aussie, I did it in Shopify, but this website took me ages to make, like to really perfect it. So I'm in the UK, but yeah, it took ages to get the color palette and right. These option boxes, these are a nightmare to program. Absolute nightmare. I used a plugin in the end, but they're still an absolute nightmare. These black texts aren't very readable, are they? But they are just tooltips, so I don't think they need to be as bright as the rest of the text because it separates them. But yeah, it took me a while to get it looking this good. The one that's really hard to do the options for was the configurator, because every time you choose something, it would then have to, so say I chose an Intel, I would have to set it up so that it only let you pick the correct motherboards. Because I'm doing that, it took about 2 days just to set up this one listing. So yeah. Well, Tanmay, see, he's a bit of a genius. We can't all compete. We can't all compete. But there's so much back end that you don't think about. Like you can build the site, but you have to build the card processing, the shipping integration, everything. So yeah. And I think the aesthetic of the website looks really nice. I'm very pleased with it. So that's just my 2 cents. But anyway, that's sort of a nice little way to plug the stream at the end of the day. So yeah. All right, everybody. Use our tool for customizer. I don't know what that is. Is it native to Shopify? I don't know. The ROI of me going into the coding fully of the website, it's probably pretty low. It's better just to offer a good product. All right then. See you later, everybody. Hopefully you've had a nice evening, day, whatever. If you're new and you enjoyed the stream, please subscribe. If you turn the notification bell on, you'll get the notification for the next one. And we will be building a PC on the next stream, so it's a bit more in line with what we do on the channel. So there you go. Cool. All right, ladies and gents, have a nice one. See you later. And if you're still here, leave it a like before you go, because that'll give me dopamine. All right, bye.